Hello and welcome back. During this segment, we're going to be comparing infrared heaters with each other. As you have probably noticed, there are many different brands and varieties and types of infrared heaters. We're going to show you some of the comparisons as we go through them here. Now, as you see, what we've done is we've marked all the heaters on this side with yellow signs, and this here is the heat output of the infrared heater. Over here we have the green ones. These are a little bit hotter. Now, when we check the heat output of an infrared heater to be consistent, what we do is we measure the hottest point. The hottest point of an infrared heater where the heat comes out is the top center. We use a laser thermometer to check that point. When we compare the heat output, there are three main things we look for. One is the temperature of the heat coming out. How hot is it? Second is volume. How big is the opening that's allowing the heat to come out? And third is the speed. How fast is the air coming out? Well, what we have is this little gadget here that checks the speed of the heat coming out. And out of all the infrared heaters that we've tested, our heater comes out at the fastest speed out of all of them. So we know it's coming out faster than any of them. The opening is relatively the same with all 1500 watt infrared heaters. Some of them may be more narrow, some may be more wide, but the cubic inches is pretty much the same from one to the other. So the biggest variable would be the heat output. Now, when you check the heat output of an infrared heater, what we do to test them, the top center is the hottest point of an infrared heater. So to use that as a benchmark, as we test all the different infrared heaters, that's where we'll be putting the laser thermometer. Now, the laser thermometer is might be a little bit difficult for you to see there, but we'll do our best, and there will be two numbers. The top number is the current temperature, and the bottom number is the hottest temperature during that reading. So let's see if we can't get that. We'll put that there, you see. Now the top number is going to keep changing because it'll keep changing as the laser dot moves within there. The bottom number is the hottest point that it reached. So if you can see that, it's actually 603 degrees. This one here is 600 degrees, and that's the white sign. Then the yellow signs are all 200 degrees and lower, and the green signs are over 200 degrees but under 400 degrees. As we compare the heat output of infrared heaters, we use these guns. They're laser thermometers, and you can see they're actually two different ones. And the reason I want to show this to you is if you decide to go out on your own and buy one of these and test them, the results may be a little bit different. They will vary from one gun to another. So what we do is we use the same gun whenever we test all the heaters to make sure the heat output is the same. So now in testing the heat output, again, the top center is the hottest point. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at this one here, and we're going to get the hottest point on this, the top center. And if we hit it just right, we should be able to get close to 200 degrees. We're 197. We're getting close. So there we go, 201. Okay, 200. So 200 degrees is about the hottest point you're going to get on this particular heater. And you can see the thermostat is set all the way on high, and that's the most heat that it's going to make. So if we compare that with our heater, okay, and we'll do the same thing, and we'll put it to the top there to get the hottest point. And the hottest point on this one is just over 600. There you go, 609 degrees. If you can see the bottom number there. Now let's go compare a couple other of the heaters that we have. Let's try this one here. Okay, the top center. Okay, now this one's actually up to 400 degrees. All right, so let's try this one here next. Try to get the hottest point. There we go, 290. Okay. 300. Okay, we got this one all the way up to 300 degrees. All right, the hottest point. Another way to check is what I call a hand test. It's not quite as scientific as your more expensive laser thermometers, but it's equally as effective. And what you can do is you hold your hand up there, hold it vertically flat, touch the heater at the top and the bottom, and see how many seconds you can hold your hand there. With my heater, after about 9 seconds, you have to pull your hand away. It gets too hot. With other heaters, you do the same thing and you hold it there, and you'll be able to hold it there much longer. In some cases, you can hold it there twice as long, or even 3 times as long. Some of these heaters over here on this side, you can actually hold your hand there almost an entire minute before it gets so hot you need to pull your hand away. So how long you can hold your hand there will determine how hot it is and how much hot air is actually coming out. And you'll find with our heater, it's the shortest time that you'll have out of all the heaters that you test. So there's a test you can do at home. If you already have an infrared heater and you decide you want to go ahead and buy the best one made, you go ahead and buy the best one made and do that simple test at home and you'll be convinced. So what we do by looking at the speed of the air coming out, the volume of air and the temperature coming out, and also through real life testing, we can put square footage as to what area each heater can heat. So these here with the yellow signs, these here you would need 2 of these heaters to make as much heat as 1 of these. This heater here makes twice as much heat as these here do. Now when you look at the temperature, you might say, well, this is 200 degrees, this is 600 degrees, so therefore you would think this makes 3 times more heat. But you need to factor in the air flow. It is coming out faster, but it's not coming out 3 times faster than these are. So to be fair, you would need just 2 of these to make as much heat as 1 of these. If we look at these here, you would need about 1.5 of these to make as much heat as 1 of these. Another way to say it is that this heater makes 100% more heat than these heaters do. Or this heater makes 50% more heat than these heaters do. And they all use the same amount of electricity. They're all 1500 watt heaters. Now when checking the electric consumption of an infrared heater, you can use a little gadget, something like this. It's called a watt meter. And what you do is you just simply plug it into an extension cord or an outlet in your home and you plug a device in it. It can be a refrigerator, television set, whatever, and it'll tell you how much electricity it's actually using. And what we do to test our infrared heaters is we plug each of them into a watt meter. And then it'll tell us how many watts it's using. And very few of them are exactly 1500 watts. This one here has a tendency to run around 1400 watts. There are some that run a little over. This one here runs a little bit over 1500 watts. Some of these on this side here, they only run maybe 1300 watts, 1350 watts. They'll vary from one to another. Another thing that we found is that, I don't want to be too technical, but with a circuit breaker, it depends on what pole an outlet in your home is actually on. One outlet could be on one pole in your breaker, another outlet could be on a different pole. And so the amount of draw at any given time could change the actual wattage output. So if you use a watt meter, again, they're not exactly precise. Even with within our test facility here, we can plug an infrared heater into an outlet and see how much electric it's using. We can plug another infrared heater into a different outlet, and that will change the actual reading as to how much electric this heater is drawing just by plugging another one in a different outlet. So they're not exact, but what we do is we use the exact same outlet when we do our testing. That keeps it consistent with all of them. All right? In talking about the heat output of an infrared heater, it's important to know that the more heat you get from an infrared heater, the less you're going to spend to heat your home. For example, let's say that you live in a 2,000 square foot home. And it depends on where you live in the country. But if your home is insulated really well and it doesn't get below 32 degrees outside and you have the standard 8-foot ceilings, one of these heaters, one of our heaters, will heat the entire house all winter long. And the electric cost, depending on your electric rate and where you live, it's going to be anywhere from $80 to $110 $100 is going to be the average, depending where you live in the country and who your electric provider is. But about $100 a month in electricity to run one of these heaters 24/7 on high. If you ran it on high 24/7, it'll use about $100 a month worth of electricity. Well, if you want to heat that same 2,000 square feet using one of these infrared heaters, you'd actually need 2 of them. So that means your electric consumption is going to be $200 a month. So we base that on a 5-month period, and so that would be an additional $500 you're spending in electricity to heat your home with these infrared heaters. Or you could say with these here, you're spending an additional $250 in electricity each year if you're using one of these rather than our heater. Our heater is the most efficient infrared heater made. It makes more heat using the same amount of electricity than any other infrared heater made, guaranteed, and we guarantee it. What we've done to come up with the best infrared heater is I've purchased heaters from a whole bunch of different brands, and these are just some of the ones that we've tested. They won't all fit on the tables here. We've tested others, and I've taken the best of all of them, and I've even added other things to improve it. Ours is the very best, and as you go through our video series, you will see some of the areas that our heater is superior than the other infrared heaters. Now let's look at another comparison with infrared heaters, and that is serviceability. Now, we sell heaters all across the country, and the other manufacturers do as well. If your heater breaks, to pay to ship it to a service facility and to ship it back can cost as much as $60, $70 round trip. Some of them are wooden and they're very heavy. For example, this one here, this is based out of California. So if you need to ship this to California to get it fixed, it will cost you, this weighs 48 pounds in a box, 48 pounds. Ours is 20 pounds. So this is more than double. Now when you ship a package, it's based on the size and the weight and the destination. So if we live in Pennsylvania here, so if I would buy this heater in Pennsylvania and it would break, I would need to pay to ship it to California for them to fix it and then ship it back. And that's going to cost $70 to $80 just in shipping cost. Well, what we do to make it better for you, one is ours is much lighter, costs much less to ship, but we go another step further. The easier it is to fix a heater, the better it is for you. We make them so easy to fix our heater that you can fix it on your own if you want to. If you don't want to, ship it to us and we're happy to fix it for you. This heater here requires 52 screws just to get to the first element to try to fix something. 52 screws. Some of them are wood screws, some are sheet metal screws, some are plastic screws, and they're different sizes, and you need to keep them all straight and try to remember how to put them back. Very difficult to service that heater. And there are others that fall in the same category, like this one here, and this one here, and there are others. Over 50 screws just to get to the first part. Ours, you only need to take 5 screws off to fix some of the parts. The most you need to take off are 10. 10 screws. 5 screws take off each side, the sides come off, and every component within the heater is easily available. To replace a heating element, for example, you take the 2 sides off, you unplug the heating element, slide the old one out, slide a new one in, and plug it back in. We're not aware of any others that do that. The other ones all the other ones up here are all hardwired. That means you have what's called a terminal block, you have screws you need to take out, you need to remember what wire went where. Ours is so easy. You just simply take the sides off and you can get to any component, and to change a heating element for us takes about 5 minutes. For you it might take 10 minutes. But for you to change a heating element in one of these is going to take you about an hour. That's the difference. So the serviceability of a heater is really important, especially if you're buying it from a company that's not close to where you live. You don't have to pay the shipping costs. We'll send you our parts if it's under warranty. We send them for free. In fact, our warranty for some of our models are a lifetime warranty. we send you the parts for free for the life of your heater. You can't beat that. A lifetime warranty. Another thing about our infrared heater, and that is this. Infrared heaters have multiple heating elements, especially quartz. You have two types of infrared heaters. You have quartz infrared and you have PTC infrared. PTC stands for positive temperature coefficient. And that would be a different heating element. In fact, I have one way over here. And let me show you what that looks like. This is a PTC heating element. And most of these heaters here that produce less heat use PTC. Most infrared heaters, however, are quartz. Quartz is glass, and they look like this. The heating element, the infrared element, is inside of glass. Most of these, in fact, all of these, have heating elements that are similar to this, and they have 6 of them. Okay? They're hardwired onto a terminal block. The wiring can get confusing inside of the heater. Our heater only has 4, and they look like this. They're very easy to replace. You just simply unplug the end, slide the old one out, slide the new one in, plug it back in. Very easy to do. Now, another neat thing about our heater that none of the others have, and that is this. All quartz infrared heaters have multiple heating elements. Some of them, most of them have as many as 6. Almost every 1500 watt infrared heater have 6 of these heating elements here, 6 of these. Mine only has 4 of these. There are 2 that you can actually see when you look in the front. And then there are 2 more that you can't see that are inside the heater. They're connected to each other. So if you have one of the 4 heating elements blow out, when you look in there, you'll see that one of those 2 are not lit up. And if one of those 2 are not lit up, that's telling you that you have a bad heating element. Okay? No other infrared heater gives you that information. Ours is the only one you can actually look at it and know if you have a bad heating element. As we compare infrared heaters, we're going to be looking at warranties. There are many different types of warranties. You have full warranties, you have limited warranties, you have lifetime warranties, you have term warranties, and they are different. You need to be careful when you buy one. Most of the newer ones are coming out with what's called a limited lifetime warranty. And what most of them mean is this. You pay the shipping when it breaks. You pay to ship it to their facility to repair it. You pay to have it shipped back. And you pay for their service technicians to do the repair. But they give you the parts. All right? The parts is the cheapest part, the least expensive part. But you have to pay the more expensive. The freight, again, to ship this one to California and back could cost as much as $80. That's expensive. So with ours, you don't need to ship it. It's so easy to fix. We'll send you the parts for free. There's no cost to you at all. There's one more thing that I'd like to share in comparing our infrared heater with other infrared heaters, and it's something called memory technology. We're not aware of any other infrared heater that has it. There may be one out there. We're just not aware of it. Because we use infrared heat as our only heat source at home, it's important to us that if we have a power outage, to make sure that we don't come home to a cold house and that the pipes don't freeze when we go away. We have power outages at our home a couple times a year in the wintertime. It may only be for a couple seconds, but when the electric is turned off, it turns off every infrared heater made because they all require electricity. But when the electricity comes back on, ours automatically comes back on at the previously preset temperature. So you set the thermostat at whatever temperature you want, and the range is as low as 40 degrees, and it goes all the way up to 90 degrees. So you set the thermostat at whatever temperature you want, you go away. Even if your electricity goes off, you don't have to worry, because when the electricity comes back on, ours automatically comes back on, unlike the other infrared heaters. Another thing that I find with infrared heaters that some of them want to add a lot of gadgets. You know, it's like we have an air filter and an air purifier and a humidifier and, you know, all these other things they want to add to them. For the most part, that's a bad idea. One reason is it becomes very confusing. Here's one here. It has a whole bunch of buttons. This one here has a whole bunch of buttons, and it has a timer and a purifier, and the one has a humidifier, and it's like they're just simply, they're not high tech. they're high confusion. Really difficult to figure out how to even use them. So what we do is we make ours as simple as we can. You turn it on, you set the thermostat here at whatever temperature you want by pushing the up and down arrow, and you leave it alone, and it'll automatically turn on and off, maintaining the temperature that you set the thermostat at. So don't buy into all this, oh, we have a humidifier and we can do all these other. That's not a positive thing, that's a negative thing. I find, because we service heaters, that we service other brands of heaters as well. We don't sell other brands, but we service other brands. And we get heaters, often people calling us and saying, well, the air purifier doesn't work and I can't find a place to get it fixed. And it can be very difficult to find a place to get them fixed. And so we recommend when you're looking for a heater, you just buy the best heater there is out there, and that's our heater. You'll save money, you'll stay safe, you'll stay warm, and you'll stay healthy by buying the best infrared heater out there. And thank you for coming and helping us to compare some of the differences between infrared heaters. I hope it's been helpful for you.